Hey guys, what's up? Fan here again, and today I'm bringing you guys another video, and today I'm going to be covering the newest hero, Greymane. So in this video, I'm going to show you two kind of preliminary builds. I don't think these builds are final necessarily, still have to do some experimenting with the heroes, but these are two builds that I found to be pretty good right now, so I'm just going to share with you guys those, and I'm also going to share with you guys my thoughts on, each of the talents and whether they're good or bad. So without further ado, level 1, we have Wolfheart, which, when your W is active, each attack lowers the cooldown by 1 second. This is very good because a lot of Greymane, the way you play him properly is by really using your W at the right time and just keeping it up for an extremely long period of time. Basic attacks refresh the duration of your W, and both Wolfheart and Viciousness on talent tier 1 can refresh its duration or lower its cooldown in some way. And both of these can be manipulated so that you can have your W up almost all the time if you play it right? So Wolfheart is better if obviously you can get more auto attacks off. Maybe you want to be, well, I think it's better in ranged form, honestly, because it's just easier to get auto attacks off while in ranged form. And Viciousness, I think, is better in Worgen form, because in Worgen form, you might not always be able to get your auto attacks off because you're melee. However, you have like a Q which has a 3-second cooldown. So as long as you keep using your Q, your inner Viciousness will always refresh Inner Beast. So that's what I think about this talent here. I think both of these are good. I also think Perfect Aim is really good because one big thing about Greymane is he has mana problems. So let's say you're in lane, right, and we don't have any mana talents here, and what I'm just gonna do, I'm just gonna try and harass the Arthas. I use my Q, I use my W. Oh, actually, sorry. Okay, so I use my Q to harass Arthas. I use my W. And then you use EQ, you're trying to clear the wave, right? And it takes 2 Qs in earlier levels to even come close to clearing the wave. And, I'll just do this once or twice for you guys here, so you can see how fast your mana actually does get drained. So, you're trying to clear the wave here, you're using Q, W, E, Q. And you're basically just trading with a hero in your lane, or doing something of that sort. And you can see just within 2 waves of clearing and trading with a hero, I'm already lower than half mana, and that's like a pretty big problem. He has so many cooldowns, especially his W and Q on human form, that takes so much mana. He really runs out of mana fast, and you're gonna have to go back a lot if you don't have mana talents, which I really don't like doing. So the kind of way that I like playing around this is by, first of all, depending on what build I go. If I go for the Q build, I want to get Perfect Aim because the 30% increased range is nice, but what's better about this is 60 refunded mana. This makes it so you can spam your Q every time it's off cooldown, and it's basically doesn't cost mana, right? Because it's 80 mana and 9-second cooldown, you're going to regen whatever mana is remaining. So basically means your Q costs very little to no mana, and it's very important in my opinion. So for this build, we're going to go for Perfect Aim at level 1, and let's go see what the rest of the talents are. Alright, so Perfect Aim level 1. Level 4, I think Thick Skin is good. Obviously, block when you're a Worgen is quite good if you're going to be playing more Worgen styled. Disengage is okay. The main problem I have with Disengage right now is that if if you're in melee form as a Worgen like this, and you're in the middle of their team or something, and there's ranged heroes attacking you, and well, if you take Eyes in the Dark and you roll back, you see how all the archers' attacks still followed me even as I was rolling back, right? So if any ranged attack hit you, it just immediately cancels your stealth. So I'm a little skeptical about that one, because that happens far too often in my opinion. But if it didn't, this would be pretty good. But it does, so I don't think it's very good. Insatiable, once again, very important that you have mana. If you did not take Perfect Aim at level 1, if you're going for more of a Worgen build, perhaps you have Viciousness or Wolfheart at level 1, then I would recommend actually taking Insatiable because, like I said, he has mana problems, way too many mana problems, and you don't want to be backing constantly. I found that I back on Greymane without mana talents more than I back on any other hero in the game. And that's really just inefficient play if you have to constantly back for mana. So yeah, if you I think Insatiable is really good if you don't have perfect aim at level 1. If you do have perfect aim at level 1, you're probably going Q build, so you're going to continue the Q build with the explosion length by 35%. This makes it so that the explosion, you can see, it hits a huge area behind the exploding target. Level 7, I think the two best skills here are Quicksilver Bullets and Elixir. Bullets attack range by 20%. You know, this is a no-brainer. Every hero in the game that has a option to tech into 20% attack range, you know, Hammer, Zagara, Old Rainer, all of them take it. I think on Greymane it's the first one that's kind of optional. But obviously, you know, if you take attack range, you're gonna be able to kite a lot better. Attack range is gonna synergize with Wolfheart a lot, and yeah, you know, it just synergizes with Q build better too because you can poke from safer range. Elixir is the one that's not as obvious in my opinion, and Elixir is very good because this Q talent shot is actually very bad. So if you just barely miss, you can see your Q does nothing, and your Q is actually a big part of your poke and burst. So you know, without the elixir, if you just barely miss, well, that's not a very good barely miss, but if you just, you know, the line is very narrow. The skill shot is very narrow, and if you just barely miss, it does nothing, which is really bad. And also, if they're just a little too far away, you know, it looked like that almost hit them, but it does nothing unless it connects directly. And for such a narrow skill shot, I find that it's actually very hard to hit this against really good opponents because they'll just stutter step side to side, and you know, even if you miss like by that little, it just won't hit. So Elixir fixes that. It just explodes on impact, which means that, you know, you don't have to get the skill shot perfectly on a moving target, and you can just, oh, I'm in your vicinity, you're gonna get hit. And that's why I like that one a lot. Of course, you can also take Quicksilver Bullets as well. So at level 10 here, you go for the throat. Marked for the kill is just not very good right now. It's a really slow and narrow skill shot. If it was fast, it might have some applications because its range is really long. But it's just really slow, and I think any competent player can easily dodge this kind of skill shot. Not to mention, it just doesn't do that much damage, and you know, vulnerable on an ult is not that good, considering most other people get it on their traits or their talents. So yeah, just not that good overall. Go for the throat is good because it deals a lot of burst damage, and if you kill someone with the first iteration, you can, you know, refresh it and get twice the value. So go for the throat is very strong. I think this is a no-brainer on level 10. This is just what you take right now. It's much better than the other one. Level 13, when you're going Q build, I like on the Proud the most because it increases your movement speed by 30% once it's been active for 3 seconds. And that's just really good for kiting. So you just activate it, you know, when you're sieging or when you're in the middle of a creep wave or a team fight, and you can see after 3 seconds you're just extremely fast. And this movement speed will stay with you as long as you continuously auto attack and keep your inner beast movement speed on. You can see it's very good for chasing and whatnot. And yeah, just very solid overall. 30% movement speed is almost mount speed, and you can, you know, kite, auto attack, and do all kinds of things. So yeah, pretty cool. Also, I don't know if you guys just saw, but there's a mark on your targets when they become low enough for you to kill with the ult. So that's pretty easy. It's a red mark over their head. So it's pretty easy to know when you should go for the throat on this hero. Alright, so level 16 for the Q build, what we're gonna get here is Concentrated Blast. It increases the damage by 80% while Inner Beast is active, and that's just really good. And once again, you know, you just, once you're skirmishing, you just activate your W, you know, and you can see it does 800 damage at level 20 in a huge AoE, which is not bad at all if you can use it properly. And yeah, you can see kind of the concept of this build. You just kind of constantly poking whenever your Q is up in a large AoE, and when it's not, you're just kiting, right? You're kiting with your 30% increased attack speed. You're basically like a Rainer here, and then you're a Rainer with like a bunch of splash damage, and if they ever go near you, you can turn into Worgen form and go for the kill. Or if you ever see a target low enough, of course, you can also, you know, go into Worgen form and go for the kill. But yeah. And level 20, for this, what the skill that I like the most is Hunter's Splendor Bust. The ranged attacks attack for 100% splash damage, which is really good. And you can see how fast this clears creeps and whatnot. So you just attack the creeps, and you're literally attacking, you know, everything behind them as well. It's just a huge area of splash damage, and combined with your WQs, it means you have a ton of splash damage, good kite potential, and yeah, I like the build a lot. It's the safest build I think that you can go, because you're constantly staying far back, poking at range. The biggest downfall of this build is, well, downfall of Greymane really, is that if you're in human form and like 2 or 3 stunners just jump on you, you really have no way to get out, because in human form, your E and your R, both of them are offensive. You know, offensive dashes, so you have to jump in on an enemy with both of them, whereas in Worgen form you have a dash that can be defensive in your Q, and you also have one in your E, right? So you can dash quite a bit far back in Worgen form, whereas you don't have that kind of defensive dashing in human form. So human form is a lot more vulnerable, but you have the huge additional range to compensate, so you just have to position kind of like you play a Rainer or something, you know, position very carefully, and you should be fine. So this is the first build, guys. This is my current poke Q build. You can substitute Quicksilver bullets for Incendiary Elixir depending on which one you like more. Feel free to experiment with that. I think everything else is pretty standard overall. You get 3 or 4 Q talents. You want the movement speed, and you definitely want Blunderbuss if you're going for the poke build. Alright, so that's the poke build. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the Worgen build now. So level 1, once again, I said you can go Wolfheart or Viciousness for the Worgen build. Honestly, I feel like both are good. I'll just take Wolfheart for now. Level 4, I like taking Insatiable. Now, if you really need block for whatever reason, then of course you can go block as well. But if you don't, then I think the mana is quite good as well. But block should come first. If you're playing against like a Rainer or a Thrall or something like that, then yeah, you go ahead and get block. So I'll take Insatiable for this skill build. Level 7, really, I think it still comes down between Quicksilver bullets and Elixir. I'm gonna take Elixir here for more of a burst. Level 10, go for Throat, of course. Level 13, I actually think Running Wild has some merits. It increases your initiation range on your E quite a bit, but I think overall Visceral Attacks is better. Your Worgen's Razor Swipe is only 3-second cooldown, as you can see here, so lowering it by 1 second is actually a huge deal per auto attack. So I'm gonna get Visceral Attacks on this tier. I think it's quite good. On this tier, I think you either want Relentless if there's a lot of disables, or Alpha Killer if there's a lot of tanks, or if there's just like one tank and no disables. You can also get Concentrated Blast if you want, because your basic combination for like a burst kill is, you know, you'll ride up to someone. If you have Concentrated Blast, which you probably won't, I won't get it. You know, let's assume there's a lot of CC, because there usually is. I'll get Relentless Predator here. So your basic combination on a hero is usually, I just want to wait for that Arthas to leave. So it's usually, you know, you hit once, use your Q. So you auto attack once, use your Q, use your E, use your Q again, and then, you know, you get as many auto attacks in as you can, and you keep queuing, keep chasing with your Qs until you know, he's in range for your ult, and then you ult. So, you know, once again, the combo would be, it would be W, Q, E, Q, and then just keep chasing with your Q until he's low enough to ult, and then you ult him. And because of that reason, I think that if you don't need Predator or Alpha Killer, Concentrated Blast is still good, because it kind of increases your first burst damage kind of thing. Alright, so level 20, what we're gonna get here is we're going to get either Blunderbuss. I still think Blunderbuss is pretty good, or Tooth and Claw. Here, I'll show you guys Tooth and Claw, since I've already showed you Blunderbuss. And basically, you know, it's just your auto attacks cleave, but you can see it's a much smaller cleave. Still does wave clear really well, but you know, you can see it's a much smaller cleave region. So I don't actually think this skill is that good at all. I suppose if you're fighting a lot of melee targets, this could be good. Other than that, I would probably go with Blunderbuss. I tried Unleash several times, but I think it's just too hard to pull off. Because you actually have to kill them with Go for Throat. It's not like in League where you kill them within a half second of using it and the talent resets. You literally have to kill them with the damage provided by Go for Throat, and that's just really hard to do more than twice in a row. And I don't think it's that realistic in competitive games where everyone's pretty good at not dying and the healer's really good at saving people. So yeah, I think your best choice on this talent tier is Hunter's Blunderbuss. Tooth and Claw is okay if you're fighting a lot of melee targets. And this would be my this would be my more melee Worgen form build right now. And of course, there's different talents that you can choose depending on the situation, like I explained before. But that's about it, guys. That's all I have for you today. That's my preliminary impressions of Greymane, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching, guys.